Hello, welcome back to the LaFrance paradigm, where I am your host, Robert LaFrance. This is where we learn and share strategies for an impact. If you are someone interested in personal development and business, this may be the right place for you. So listen to my sweet voice as guests and I discuss strategies for an impact, empowering you to share your story.
Woo! Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's special episode. I have a guest, lovely, wonderful guest that knows how to have a ton of fun, empower women, and run a business from home. Her name is Miss Jenni Ramones. Hi, Jenni.
Hello, how are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. I'm really happy to be here with you and have you on the show. Um, for those who don't know who you are, why don't you go ahead and do a quick 1 minute introduction about who you are and what you're working towards?
Absolutely. Hello, my name is Jenni Ramones. I am from Virginia Beach, Virginia, and I am a sexual health and education and wellness coach, promoter, and also a certified coach as well through the University of Indiana through Pure Romance. And for those of you who are not familiar with what Pure Romance is, it is a company that is empowering, especially when it comes to sexual health and wellness, but also working toward building relationships with those around us and being able to live the life that you love authentically and in a way where you are living your absolute truth. We've been around for almost 30 years now. And for me and my business, I have been doing this for just a little over 4 years. And one of the things that I absolutely am really excited about, especially during this particular season in my business, is just being able to help other women with discovering who they are as a individual so that they can bring a little bit more self-love and care for themselves before everyone else. And being able to do that through our parties and especially with growing my team has been very rewarding because I see some changes and a stronger relationship within myself too. So overall, it's a win-win. And just being able to do that over the last few years has just been great. And that's what we are striving to do, especially during this time with COVID and everything.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome. Good for you. Good for you. That's great. And then my from my position, I met Jenny a few years ago, probably maybe like 2 years ago in a networking event,
Mhm.
and I connected with Jenny and her purpose and her company and learned more about that. And from my perspective, seeing how over the last couple of years you have transformed and really grown into your skin over these last few years, and like the amount of confidence and the awareness that you're bringing on social, and because your topic is challenging for a lot of people to talk about in general, not even with their family members. And some families don't talk about sexual health or taking care of your body and awareness and stuff like that. And then for you to talk about being authentically you and loving yourself before loving other people, and how that transforms into the community around you when you are taking care of yourself and you are authentically true, and to see you live and breathe that mission and see yourself transform. It's like been a breath of I can't speak. It's like a breath of fresh air. And I want to say that I'm proud of you because although we haven't, talked on the phone as much as we probably should have over these last couple of years, staying connected in social media, you really get to stay plugged in a little bit in what people are doing in their worlds. And you should feel, I don't know, but you should probably feel proud of yourself if you don't.
Thank you so much. It really means a lot. And it's funny how I was just thinking about how we first met, as you said, in a networking event. And for those of you who are listening, when I say that when it comes to whether it be doing something like what I do or in any field of business or field in general that you go into, you're going to be finding yourself that you're going to be taking those little steps to get to the big ones, especially when it comes to your self-confidence. Robert, you probably remember me from when I first met you. And I think I was just in my first year or two in my business. You could probably tell that I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm feeling really shy. I don't know anybody except for the one person who invited me to the event. And it was actually one of my first experiences being able to network with other people from other industries. And actually, I had to thank you, because had you not invited me to the other networking events that were in our area, I probably would not have been able to open up myself a little bit more than I am now. And instead of being like going into the corner, maybe being like a wallflower, maybe somebody would come up to me. All of a sudden I'm thinking, hey, this is somebody I should probably get to know. What can I learn from them? And so I can now just casually just say, hi, how are you? What's your name? And that feels empowering, because I'm just thinking, if I am feeling really good about myself, if I feel good about other people around me, then yeah, I just go for it. And I wish I knew that advice from before. And actually, yeah, like I said, if you had not invited me, had you not introduced yourself to me, I probably would not be where I am right now with other people. So really, I have you to thank too for my success.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you. I'm just a small contributor to to what everybody else, and a lot of the work. A lot of it is self transformation.
Hmm.
I was I've read something. But personal development in business is huge. You know, yeah, there's if there's a need in the marketplace and you solve that need in the marketplace and you turn a profit, you can be successful. But especially in our industries and with what we're doing, trying to empower people with the resources and tools and education that we have, a lot of it is, overcoming these personal challenges. Even in real estate, a lot of people, when I got out of the Navy, I got into real estate first and foremost, and a lot of people begin their entrepreneurship journey in real estate because everybody can understands the value and how it's an asset to long-term wealth and the advantages of owning property. But it's like, okay, you got to be able to get over that fear of picking up the phone call and calling people that you either do know or don't know and asking them if you can help them with your business, or asking them for money to invest in a project, or if you're tired, and then prioritizing. It's very different coming from a traditional job or workforce, or even the military, when there's so much structure and you just know that if you do XYZ, you'll get XYZ result. And the same applies in the entrepreneurship world is, if I do XYZ, I'll get XYZ result. But it's okay, I can't hit the snooze. I got to get up on time. I got to take care of my family. I got to read some books. I got to create some content for my online brand. I got to connect with people who are asking these questions, who are looking for me. But how do I get in front of these people and empower them with my story, resources, and background? And so, yeah, a lot of it is you, and a lot of it is the people that you surround yourself with.
Absolutely.
A lot of people have heard that expression. Oh, show me your friends and I'll show you your future, or show me five of your closest friends. And then you'll probably be the sixth. If you hang around five broke guys, you'll be the sixth, or women, something like that. So that's really cool. And
Yes.
for me, when especially over these last couple of years, going through my trials and tribulations, and being, sometimes I do scroll for recreation. Not everything is, for business on the social media when you're scrolling, and when you see someone that that you've been, when you look at your peers and you have around the same start time as far as your journey, and you're kind of looking side by side and seeing who's there with you, next to you, progressing, and you see where your peers are. It's something to reflect back on and say, wow, I remember meeting Jenny at that networking event where she was a little, quiet and a little, reserved on how she talked about her business and stuff like that because of the taboo of the industry and the resources. But now you're like, yeah, this is important and we need to talk about this, and this is who I am. And it's so, not only is it courageous for you to do that, but you're being the role model, you're being a hero, you're being the example of the other people. They're like, no, you know what? We do need to talk about this because this is serious, this is health, and it's empowerment, it's confidence, and it trickles into every other aspect of our life, especially as women, men, parents, mothers, fathers, siblings, community members.
Absolutely. And it's funny also how you say that because at first, when I was stepping into what I was about to do with my business, I thought about, how is this going to be affecting for myself or with some of my friends, even some of my family members. And yes, we do talk about these types of topics, even when it makes us feel uncomfortable. As you said, the topic can be something that may be, for some it could be taboo, for others it can be something that is supposed to be more private, like behind closed doors, or something that makes them, for one reason or another, feel as though they're embarrassed. Like, this is something so personal, and if they try sharing that kind of information, especially with a doctor,
Mm,
for them, they can feel really insecure because they're thinking, well, what do they know about me? What do they know about my body? And things like that. And what I have grown over the years to really embrace, and this is something that I had to embrace for myself too, is that not only do we have that point in time where we're learning about initially the things about our bodies, and we're thinking, oh, okay, this is how it sort of works, and it's like we don't truly embrace it, we don't truly grasp that concept that this is truly how our body is working. But how do we apply that when it comes to learning really how our body works, or having that conversation with your intimate partner, or even with a married partner, and be like, hey, this is something that we really should take a look into, and we don't know what's going on with our bodies. And I do share this with everyone that I talk about this topic to. If you don't know what's going on with your body, how can you feel more confident in your own skin? How can you start that foundation, that strong foundation of trust with your partner? Or even if you're talking about this particular topic with your doctor, or for women who are listening to this, the visit over to the OBGYN, how can you know if you don't start that trust and build that foundation first? Um, and so just knowing about that and realizing that this is part of our overall health, if I share that with my audience and realize that, help them realize that this is part of their overall health, their minds start going, oh, I never thought about that in that kind of way before. How can I learn about these things? And so thankfully, not only do we consultants have the training and the education to do so, but we do it in a fun, non-judgmental way. And of course, not to leave out the gentleman who may be listening to this one as well. I'm sure they have questions, and thankfully, we have the resources to share that with them as well, so that not only can they learn about themselves, but also being able to join in on that conversation with their partners who may be wanting that foundation, not just on trust, but also the support that they need. Maybe both partners need that love and support from each other to be able to take things, literally figuratively, to the next level.
yeah. Wow. You said so many things there that I'd love to touch on. I hope I can remember all of them. That was really good. So first, I mean, I have a 5-year-old daughter, and so not only is she the spawn of her mother and I, but she's also a 5-year-old little girl getting, curious about her body and the functions of it. So like I think about, what is the best way to educate my daughter about the human anatomy, the functions of the human anatomy, and these curiosities that she's got going on, in an age appropriate manner, and that can be
Mhm.
challenging. And some people will call me earthy or a hippie, or because I'm very like open and communicative of like, this is the purpose of our human body, and people talk
Mhm.
about different things differently with their family members and kids, you know what I mean, especially from different cultures.
Of course.
So I know it can be challenging for me talking to a 5-year-old about this. Not to and I have open communication with a lot of people. Some people will be like, "Hey, bro, that's too much info." Don't you know? So to think about my position like that, and then think about being in, even before I became a parent, as a child, as a young adult, as an adult, only knowing what I know based off of either the internet or what people have taught me, moving forward, and how that's affected my relationships, my sex life, my parenting, all different things, and how they affected each other. And then you're like, oh wow, I didn't know about that. It could have helped me in these areas if I knew that my body acted this way versus that way. It could have made my relationship stronger. less stress. There's all different things that could have come with that. And, you know, the biggest thing, no matter what you're talking about, is just to be open-minded and to learn, to get another resource. You know, you can have all the data in the world, and if you're open to have a conversation, you're still going to be learning by having the conversation with people. And that's the most important part. And I bet, um, especially in like the sexual health arena, and then putting it out there on social media and like making awareness on it, becoming your own online brand is a challenge in itself, because you're putting yourself out there in general as you, as yourself, as your brand, and then what you're bringing to the table. And then if you're talking about becoming an expert in an area, or being an expert in sharing those resources, that brings on another level, and then another level. There's something called imposter syndrome, and that's something that I've challenged for so long. What makes me credible to talk about this? You know what I mean? And I'm really just starting to get in my skin with that. Like, oh, wait a second. I did do time in the Navy. I do have a bachelor's in workforce education development. I can go and talk to people about launching, scaling, and doing an in-depth scaling process in the business. I'm not just some guy who's trying to figure it out anymore. And that's what a lot of people, and that's what putting yourself out there does. You're learning more about yourself, you're laying the groundwork, you're showing progress, and all that is ultimately building you up to the person that you are trying and are meant to be. Now, I have a question, because we as human people, I'm going to keep that human people, um, we all deal with similar things every single day. And some of us have a lot of cultural influences and expectations, especially in the family unit, as far as like what parents expect of their children and stuff like that. Do you have any external cultural influences, peer pressure on you as far as how you're living your life? Or
That's actually an excellent question. So, in my background, I grew up Roman Catholic, Filipino. So, typically in the Asian culture, especially for Filipinos, the majority are influenced by Roman Catholic influence. And so, my upbringing actually has helped me to actually understand a little bit more about not just myself as a person, but also a little bit more on my culture. And it also made me ask questions, especially for my mom, who is one of my biggest supporters and my rock. And I remember growing up, and when it came to talking about going to appointments and learning about what I need to do for making sure that I take care of my body to protect myself, she had always made sure that I was talking about these kinds of things with my doctor. And at the same time, I guess in my mind, it made me feel a little bit contradicted, because I'm just thinking, okay, well, if we were taught this, then how come we are not talking about this? And um, same thing when it comes to with my business, which, and I'm pretty sure that there are some women or even consultants who might have encountered similar stories to me, where I would be doing something like this, where I'm talking about sexual health and wellness. I'm talking about, being able to have that conversation with my doctor, and other friends or family members would be looking at me, or would be looking at all of us saying, how can you be talking about these kinds of things for other women, or especially to us, because, this is not really what we were expecting, or anything like that. And um the more that I thought about this, especially looking back on how I first started, when I came out to my parents saying, hey, this is what I'm doing and I'm feeling really excited about it, I want to help other women who are struggling with their relationships, or struggling to love their skin, love themselves in their own skin a little bit more. um, Sometimes I would get a little bit of backlash, I will admit, from family members and a few other people. But what's most important that I've learned over the years is that, even though it may feel as though family members, friends, or whoever that you talk to about this particular type of topic, if they feel like they're up against you in your world, then you know what? That's okay. because we believe in our mission to be able to help other people who need answers, who need the support, who need the resources. And when I keep that in mind, I'm thinking, you know what? There are other people, there's a whole world of people who probably need this a whole lot more than they realize. And they might, the people who say no to you right now, they are not saying no like forever. They may just be thinking, you know what? No, not right now. I don't want to know about this kind of thing right now, but give them some time and eventually they will come up to you and be like, okay, so 4 years ago you were talking about this. What has changed? Or what do you think that I could learn right now? And you'd be surprised. And I will say, one family member did come up to me 4 years later saying, okay, Jen, I see you doing this. First of all, wow. I never expected that growth out of you. And then the other thing too is, well, what can I learn about myself right now? You just can never really tell. So when it comes
Wow.
to all of that, just so long as you are staying the course of what it is that you are set out to do, that should be your vehicle to where you want to go, not just with, you know, I mean, it's great to be able to have that income and things like that. But I think the bigger reward out of doing all of this is being able to reach out to the other people who need you more than they realize.
Yeah. And I can't believe, I mean, I imagine it'd be so rewarding to have that family member call 4 years later and say, first of all, wow. And you're like, yeah, I've been fighting personal and family resistance, external resistance for a long time. And now you're like, yes, I got it. Not that we're doing it for the acknowledgement, but it makes the juice worth the squeeze, and I mean, and then when they're calling you, asking for for those resources, you're like, okay, this was a great decision because now I'm here. And that's something that we say in our industry too. Is like, we don't sort or we don't sell, we sort. So
Yes.
because not although you can see how your product or service can help everybody in their own way, but not everybody is ready or looking or even interested. So it's really important that we be the best version of ourselves for those people who are out there looking for us and being there for them. And then as those other people encounter different experiences or grow in their own self, then they'll be like, oh wait, maybe I should have this conversation. Or they're just waiting for that one release from you where you're like, okay, this subject, and they're like, that's what I was waiting for.
Hmm.
So I'm really happy because I speak with most of my target audience. I would say are men, military men. There are military women out there, and of course, but being a father to, I love women. I've always surrounded myself with powerful women my entire life growing up. I've always had my mom, my grandmother, my sister, and then like those were like the three women that were always around growing up. And then as I grew into adulthood and stuff like that, I've always just been the guy, the boy, the man to like communicate and connect more with, you know, women than men. And where I'm going with that, I totally lost track. But oh, I'm happy to have you here here as a guest, as a woman entrepreneur, empowering others, especially in this niche of sexual education and health. Because one of my personal goals, and I put it out there on social too, but I'm really interested in tapping into the human potential as much as possible, and a
Mhm.
lot of that is understanding how your body works. And it might not, from my position, it's not so much geared towards like in a sexual way, but it's performance, and understanding how your mind works, understanding how your heart works, understanding that how you act as a person, whether or not your brain or heart are in coherence. Meditation, healing of the body, your body being able to compensate and increase its temperature in cold water. There's different things that your body is capable of doing through meditation, through these different types of practices. And when you start practicing them, you connect more with yourself, you connect more with other people, your health increases, your confidence increases, and then you're primed to keep going on through some of the struggles that life throws. And I'm sure that if I were to implement the some of the resources and tools that you're educating people on, that would help me as a person individually, my partnership, and ultimately my business, because my girl and I, we are partners, we are life partners, and we are operating everything together as one unit with our long-term goal, you know? and I'd really be interested to listen in on some of your workshops or trainings or talks and stuff like that, because I couldn't tell you the last time I've looked up any sexual education or health resources, because I
Oh,
just take care of
wow.
myself now. I shower, I take care of myself. I've always had, like, healthy habits, if you will, and my partners and I have always communicated in a healthy manner, and for the most part, the best we could at the time. But right now, my communication is just probably the best. And I know when we have conversations in front of other people, we're like, "Wow, you guys actually talk to each other like that?" We're like, "Yeah, we need to communicate what's important and how we're feeling, not in a disrespectful way for those people who are used to yelling and fighting." I've done that too. I'm experienced in that as well. But
Yes. And I,
so, go
yeah.
ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, because I was just about to dive on in, but I'm sure you probably have another question to tie into all of this.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to ask. I was going to ask you to dive in. Like, what are some things that you talked about? What are some things people should be considering or coming to you looking for?
Absolutely. So, actually, a lot of the things that you just mentioned just now are actually part of those basic foundations on building, especially a strong relationship, first with yourself. And you also mentioned with your partner, which you've done so much together. And one of the biggest things that I keep hearing from, not just from us consultants, but also from the people who come to us, wanting to know how exactly they can strengthen their relationship. And the first and foremost is with the communication. There's communication, which also comes with the topic of honesty, as well as building trust. I think that those three build the biggest foundation for any kind of relationship, whether it be for yourself, for your partner, for your friend, your best friend, your dog, whoever it may be. And so being able to have that honesty, first of all, is very important, because if you're not being honest, especially with yourself, then how can you expect for your partner to truly know what's going on in here, or in your mind, or even over in your heart? And so sometimes that particular topic can be really tough, because especially with the people who we expect, especially for our partners, to be able to love us exactly for who we are, we also have that fear that we might be scaring them away, or we scared that we might be talking about something that may be important to us, that who knows, that they might not be feeling as though they feel the same, or they feel conflicted in some sort of way. But the worst thing they can say is no, or the worst thing that they could possibly do is turn away, which we don't want them to. So building up that courage to be honest with yourself is probably going to be the biggest hurdle that you're going to be having, and no matter what. Once you overcome that and start having this conversation with your partner, saying, hey, I really have something that's really important to me that I really want to share with you, and this is important to me because I love you, and I do want to be able to have this understanding so that we're on the same page. What do you think? And I'm very sure that if your partner is going to be willing to sit down with you and listen to you 100% for who it is who you are, and what your concerns are and things like that, I'm sure that they're going to be looking at you and say, hey, thank you for telling me all of this. Otherwise, I never would have known. I don't ever want to assume anything of you. And what can I do to have it so that it not only helps you, but how can we walk through this together? And from there, you can build a way to be able to have the conversation, to make a plan, make it an action plan to go ahead and move forward. So building that honesty, that communication, honestly, are the most important things. Um, Also taking a look into what you as a person, as well as your partner, like, find out what your love languages are. Now, I don't know if you've ever read or heard of the book called The Five Love Languages by Dave Chapman. There are a
Oh,
lot of different topics for singles, for military, for teenagers, but taking a look into what your love languages are. And for those of you who are not familiar with what those love languages are, you have quality time, you have words of affirmation, acts of service, gift giving, and there's one more I can't think off the top of my head. I'm sure I will come up with it in just a moment. But finding out what your love language is not only going to be able to help you with figuring out what your partner needs from you to fill their love tank, but also reciprocating it so that your love tank is filled up as well. Because otherwise, if you are with your partner and you are thinking that things are going great when actually maybe you aren't feeling as great, or maybe your partner isn't feeling that great, if you guys are not in the same page, then something's going on. We need to come to some sort of common ground. And so I recommend taking a look into the book of the five love languages, where they delve deep into what you can do to use those love languages in order for you to make that bridge, that connection with your partner. And when things are more in harmony, you find yourself loving yourself as well as your partner a lot more than you have been from before. And who knows, it can transform your relationship, with whether it be at home with your quality time together, or even at work. You can find that you can build harmony through it as well. So actually, since you had mentioned talking with your partner about being in business and doing quality time and all of those things, you guys are already doing quite a bit. From something as simple as that. And finally, when it comes to building things up into that next level, again, with communication and honesty, you have to be honest with especially in this particular part, because wanting to try something new or different, whether it be in or outside the bedroom, can sometimes be a little scary. Maybe in their minds, they're probably thinking, "Oh gosh, I don't know if this is going to work," or should we even try, or should we talk about maybe trying to do this? And just giving it a try can sometimes be a little daunting. Okay, I take that back. For some, it can be very, very daunting, but little steps at a time, just little steps at a time. If it works, fantastic. If it doesn't work, then that's okay. Maybe tweak it to where both of you are satisfied, or if something that both of you are saying, nope, this is not going to work, let's try something else. Just keep on communicating, keep on trying, and find something that works for the both of you, so that not just one person is happy over the other, but the both of you are building harmony from that.
That's so perfectly said. That's well said. Good job. And it's applicable in everything we do in life. And it's if you apply those same three principles to everything, you'll start to see the results that you want more. And there's going to be a change. Like there's definitely been times where I haven't been the best romantic partner. There's definitely been times where I haven't been the best human being, you know. And then, but through those times, through reflection and through implementing these three principles, you start to progress and grow and transform into the person that you want to be, or you're trying to be, or that other, whatever your instance needs you to be. And so that's really important. Um, one of the things that I wanted to say too is, like, as you have these conversations, you don't have to wait until it's that moment where you're having a serious discussion, or there's been a disagreement, or things are feeling awkward. There's even ways it's been discussed out there about even having like monthly or quarterly check-ins with the relationship. Hey, how am I doing? But because then there's no pressure, there's no emotion like, hey, I'm upset with you because you can't do the dishes the right way. You know what I mean? You're having, okay, hey, here's our monthly, quarterly check-in with the relationship. No pressure. Am I doing my part? Are you doing your part? Where are some things that we can work on? And when you have that open communication, you're going to be able to progress. And it's not just being honest. You can't be like, oh, well, you stink, man. You know what I mean? Like, what do you want me to do? You just smell, like grab some different soap. Like, you got to be respectful and considerate and compassionate about what it is that you're talking about. And then also the trust aspect. I think because of, not everything is meant, relationships end sometimes, and sometimes a lot of us have been in unhealthy relationships. A lot of us stay in unhealthy relationships because of fear of loss, or they don't want to do something different, or whatever the cases are. Having that trust to have a conversation and saying, it's more, I think it's trust in yourself and trust in the outcome. Hey, Jenni, I really want to have a conversation with you about XYZ, and this is the way that I've been feeling, and I would like us to, this is the result I want to have for this purpose. What steps do we need to do to make that happen? And sometimes the other side doesn't receive that well. Sometimes they don't have that reciprocity that you're looking for. So you have to have that trust and knowing, what, I was honest, I was authentically me, and I had this conversation with the person, and they didn't want to talk about it, and now we're in this position. It's time for me to continue on what's in my future's best interest and go from there. And or else, you could end up in a bad position, a dangerous position. Whether it's with a partner that's unhealthy or with yourself, because mental health is such a serious, consistent focal point in everything that we do that it affects everything else. There's spin-off effects on that. And as far as before I forget, the five primary love languages that you covered, they're words of affirmation,
Mm-hmm.
quality time, physical touch, acts of
That's
service,
one.
and receiving gifts. And I recommend, I haven't read the book. I know people who have recommended the book. I've signed up for the newsletter and I check in, and I recommend definitely getting the book. And if anything, signing up for the email newsletter, because out of all of the emails that I get that don't provide a ton of value, this is one that I refuse to unsubscribe from, because he always provides value for my relationship, my romantic relationship, or communication with other people. Because in business, all business is communication. It's all conversation. So it's, oh, my it could be my limiting beliefs, or it could be your limiting beliefs, or it could be something of how we communicate. But when you know that there are different types of love languages and there's different types of people out there, or there's people who use that other, like or the personality types. You can talk about the disc or shark, dolphin, sea urchin, whale, whichever one. When you realize that, hey, there's a lot of different languages that I need to consider when I communicate with different people to help them grow or transform or utilize this product or service the most efficient way possible, then you're going to really start to see yourself reach that next level and level up, like you were saying, because it's just going to be, oh, wait, I can connect with more people in the way that they need me to communicate with, so I can better serve them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yes. And for those of you who, since we were talking about the love language, if you're not sure what your love language is, feel free to go ahead and visit the Five Love Languages website. And they do have a survey where they ask you a series of questions, and it will help you with pinpointing, if you have a primary love language, if you have a secondary love language. And I would suggest taking it every once in a while, like maybe once or twice a year. For example, my love language, when I first took the test, my primary one was quality time, and then my secondary was words of affirmation. And the last time I took the test was about in October or November. And surprisingly enough, those two switched around, where now words of affirmation are my primary and quality time is my secondary. So it just really depends on maybe your season of life, or some things that might be happening in your current situation. So if you're ever curious about what your love language is, or shoot, even taking the quiz with your partner, find out what your love languages are and work from there, is one thing that I would suggest, to get things started and build that conversation from there.
I love how you continue to use the word season, like this season of my life, the season of your life, because that just reminds me that it is short. The seasons, this time, this too shall pass. Like, as the year changes, as the seasons go, so do the days. And if you just consider looking at your life, living your life like that, instead of just like a linear path, or like getting the results when you're like, okay, this is the season that I'm in, this is the work that I'm putting in. Just like if we were on a farm, planting the seeds and taking care of it throughout the year. That's a great approach to handling it. And I think it takes some pressure off too. It's not like, okay, this isn't permanent, and this too will change.
Absolutely, because sometimes we may be thinking of one thing, in one aspect of our life, and we're thinking, okay, once I get this one done, and then I'm going to go do this, and then I'm going to go do this. Like you said just a second ago, like in a linear path. But what if there might be some obstacles along the way, or maybe there might be a situation where it turns into a complete 180, and you have to pivot. You have to figure out, okay, what are some of the things that I can do in this season, like right now? What can I do to get it into if not in the original path that I want to, how can I make it better? And these things are not something that are up for instant gratification like what most people would expect, but it's going to take some time. Sometimes you have to plan things out. Sometimes you have to wait maybe 24 to 48 hours. Maybe you have to work on some things for the next 21 days or a couple of weeks, even a couple of months, however long it takes. And also tying in with checking in with yourself as well as your partner, it's a good thing to be able to do that during those seasons so that we can say, okay, how are we doing? How am I doing? And what can we do to improve things from there? And that's with any aspect that you have in your life, for your business, for your family, for each other, um, every aspect, really.
Yeah, I couldn't
Mhm.
agree more. And I'm another statistic. I'm a divorced adult, and talking about the love languages and reflection and check-ins and doing the work that's necessary, for your goals and whatever. Like as a married father, like that was a really hard decision for me to kind of analyze the environment that we were in and decide whether or not it was a healthy environment and whether or not it was going to improve or not, and then take action from there. And then so during that time, over the last 4 or 5 years, it's been one hell of a season where it's been nothing but challenges and overcoming them and really focused on the finish line and implementing all of these considerations of love languages, reflecting, being honest with myself, trusting the process, and communicating with the other person is how I got to where I am today. And if I had known or implemented any of these tactics, maybe 10 years ago, well before in any of my other relationships, it could have positively affected all of the following relationships and even my marriage. Because one of my purposes here is, it seems as though I connect really well with the veteran entrepreneurs and like separated fathers who happen to be the majority of men. You know what I mean? Like the military demographic majority men, like, but we all relate, like even the women service members, we all relate. We all go into the locker rooms. We all see the same statistics and the same issues happening left and right. And that's a lot of it has to do with the communication, ego, communicating the right way, being compassionate, and forgiveness in yourself. So when you're transitioning out of the military, whether you're retiring or just you did your time and get out, and now you're becoming this new person, or and you're developing a business or your workforce, or you're having these relationship issues and there's children around and it affects everybody in the relationship, how can we minimize the war zone and damage so we can all live happy and fulfilled? And that's what everybody wants. And I think everybody's trying to grab the walls and take control as much as they can with what they know and who they are, that there's so much resistance. But when you go back to honesty, trust, communication with yourself, the universe, the people around you, you're going to start to feel less resist. You can start to feel less resistance if you allow yourself. If you continue to fight it and you're feeling resistance, take a look and see what you got to do.
You mentioned about the resistance as well as with forgiveness. Is it okay if I touch on a couple of those particular
Absolutely.
topics? Yeah. So not just with consultants, but with a lot of people that we meet during our parties or during consultations or even just through everyday conversation, myself too, we're always striving to being able to, of course, being the best versions of ourselves. And one of the things that holds us back is the fear of tumbling back into some of the things that we may have made in our past, particularly with our mistakes. Like for example, there was one individual that I know who had been in a relationship with their partner for a very, very long time. And because they were not able to properly communicate with their feelings toward each other, especially when their partner got into some serious medical issues, they felt as though they felt inadequate. They felt as though they felt powerless. And no matter how many times that they had tried to communicate that with their partner, it almost seems to deflect like a shield. And eventually that couple broke up, which to me was really heartbreaking because they had gone through so much together, and I was really hoping for them to be able to build something strong. But sometimes there are going to be those conversations where People are going to be talking about their regrets. They're going to be talking about their mistakes. And most times they beat themselves up and just basically just say, I wish I did something. I wish I said something a little bit differently. I wish I did this differently. And, oh, I messed up on these kinds of mistakes. I'm only going to mess it up again, or just beating themselves down for everything that seems negative or bad in that type of sense. And one of the things that I have to remind, even for myself, is to forgive or to be more gentle with yourself. And for many, it's hard to do. And it's going to be something that's going to have to take time. It's going to take, especially for finding something to be able to help them to move forward. They have to find their own way. Forgiveness, especially, is really difficult because you want to be able to move forward, and you're again making that thought to yourself thing, but I don't want to make that mistake again. One of the biggest things that I can share, from not just from personal experience but from others that I have worked with, is being able to live more into the present. That's what's more important, because you
Yeah.
can't worry about what happened in the past. You can't fix spilled milk, as they say. That and If we worry too much about what's going on into the past with our mistakes and regrets, and also worrying about what's going to happen into the future, we can't predict what's going to happen into the future. And I don't know about you, Robert, but I am one of who believes in the power of attraction. So if I put something good out there into the universe, it's that positive things that come right back with me. Same thing if I were to put something bad out there, which I don't want. And so the way that we can really live our lives to where we truly want to be, authentically, unapologetically with ourselves, is just to have that sit down conversation and say, okay, who am I right now? And where am I going from here? What am I going to do today to get to where I am going to be the best version of myself? Because otherwise, if you worry about everything else, you're going to be stuck. No one wants to be stuck in the same place forever, I'm sure. So I'd say just start with what you can do today. Like, even if it's just one important step, that one step could be that ripple effect that can make the difference for everything else. So start living into what you can do for right now. Start living your life today. And you'd be surprised how everything else will work, like whether you believe in God, universe, or anything like that, something is going to weave its way into your life to where you want to go. So I say start today.
Oh yeah, I'm all up in that Kool-Aid. I drink that Kool-Aid every day. You know, affirmations, manifestation, the vibration of everything. That's a totally different 4-hour podcast. But something
Yes.
that I want to add to that is, saying thank you, like being grateful. And so one of the best practices they say when you start your meditation is to just say thank you. And you can, in something when you're new, for me, I had to overcome a lot of limiting beliefs, a lot of ego issues, a lot of trauma. I'm not perfect. I'm still working on these things, but they're daily practices and intentional focus points so I can live intentionally in this right mindset. And saying thank you before I meditate, or saying thank you before I go plan my day, my week, my month, because of everything that I've done yesterday or everything that has contributed to me being who I am. Talking about being authentically me, true to myself, and honest. Thank you for that. That's putting it out there. Being grateful that that you're in a mindset, in the position of receiving in abundance versus lack. And that's something to consider too. Um, so what are some things that like you can share with our listeners today to help with their daily health practices, or maybe they're like common talk points? You talked about communication, trust, and honesty, and that's something that we can apply in a lot of different scenarios. Are there any like other practices that people should be aware of or do, or certain things that they can reach out to you for?
Absolutely. So, one of the things that has helped me in all of the things that I do in my daily life, whether it be for business or family or anything like that, is I'm all about routines. I have a morning routine. I also have a evening routine, because with routines, not only does it help me prepare myself for success, but I'm also allowing some time to give that moment of self-care onto myself. I mean, if you can imagine yourself as like a teapot filled with delicious tea, and everybody wants to have a cup of your tea, right? And so before you can even share what you have to offer to the world, make sure you pour your own cup,
I love
because
that.
otherwise you can't pour yourself from an empty cup. Otherwise, everyone's going to get really upset or really disappointed, and you don't want that for your relationships, especially when with yourself or the people around you. So, having that morning routine allows me to fill my pot of tea so that I have that time for myself. You mentioned about meditation. I do that too. One thing that does help me is journaling, whether it be writing it down or just typing it into like a journal or something like that, helps to not only get your mind a little bit more clear of what's going on up here, but it also allows you to be able to, again, practice gratitude and appreciate even just the little things that are going on in life. um, Being able to say hello or a thank you, or even like a quick text message saying, hey, I thought of you today. I just wanted to let you know that I hope you're doing great. Let me know what I can do to help. Or, hey, I saw that you're going through a really rough time. I'm sorry for your loss, or anything like that. Please let me know how I can help you. Just so that people can know that someone is looking out for them, someone actually cares. And sometimes even just a little touch of a note or a simple phone call or even a text message can make a huge difference. And to be able to just put those little things out there can mean a whole lot. And it says a lot about you as an individual. The last thing also is to being able to just be in front of someone every single day, whether it be for your partner, it could be a parent, like what we're doing right now over like Zoom, or even through like a phone call. Just make that one simple connection, because as much as we want to be in the hustle and bustle of everything that's going on about us, or even if we're working from home, just having that one human connection can make all the difference. It makes us feel as though we are really not just communicating as people, but it's like, okay, someone out there cares. Someone is inspiring me to be the best person that I can be. I'm helping them. And I'm learning something new that I probably never knew about before. And so those things, especially for like a morning routine, an evening routine, whatever it so happens to be, make it about you first. Because again, if you can't pour from your own cup, you can't serve everyone else.
Right, just like on an airplane, you got to put your oxygen mask on first before donning anybody else's.
Yes, absolutely. I think you said something else. I can't quite remember what it was.
That's okay. It'll come
Yeah,
back. That's
absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah.
Man, you're providing so much value and insight. Like it really shines a light on what it would be to, on what it is like to be a part of your organization, your team, and something that's been big on our side of things is company culture. You know, whether it's team focused or if you have a Fortune 100 company, company culture is huge in the success of the workforce and the business. The results, getting the results from building ideal company cultures is huge right now because people don't leave bad jobs; they leave bad managers, and they so it's like with that, so there's that, and then with everything that you're sharing, it just it's like a peek inside of what it's like to be on your team. What are some of the what are some exercises or meetings or what do you guys do as a team to build team culture? And like, how are you a leader on your team? Or what role
Yes.
is?
That's actually a really great question. So, my team and I, we stay in contact, if not every single day, then we do periodic check ins. Like, for example, every Saturday, whether you are a seasoned consultant or if you are brand new, every Saturday there is a different topic for a specific training. So, if you're wanting to learn a little bit more on leadership, if you're wanting to learn how to be able to be more creative with your products so that you can share that with your audience. things like that. We do have weekly meetings for that. Every Sunday, my team and I'm actually going to be doing a demo for my team next week. We do something every Sunday evening called Demos and Drinks, where a leader in our team for 15 minutes hops on Zoom to showcase 3 products or a specific topic. It could be about relationships or other topics that could be of value for anyone who wants to tune in. We also have monthly meetings where we celebrate our successes. We have a featured speaker, and we also do some fun games and contests just to get us excited for what it is that we are going for. For example, our company did what we call the 555 challenge, where it's every consultant works in their business where they have 5 different web orders, 5 new team members, and 5 virtual or in-person parties, and you get entered to win some pretty awesome prizes. And the funny thing was, a few weeks ago on our podcast, I saw that one of the prizes was a beach towel. And I said, I really like that beach towel. I hope I get it. And ironically enough, when they were putting up the roster of who won a beach towel, I saw my name on there. I thought,
Nice.
okay, universe, you heard me.
Let's do
So
that
we do
again.
so we do some fun things. And one of the things that I'm hoping to bring back when we do our weekly check-ins is we used to do this in the mornings, but on Wednesdays, some of the girls and we would take some fun colored wigs and be like, it's Wig Wednesday. And so we'll just be silly in front of the Zoom just to pump each other up and just have some laughs, because, well, you got to have fun in your business too, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
We
we do a lot of things.
That's awesome. It sounds like it. I like how you talking about having a lot of fun and going back before about like putting your oxygen mask on, drinking your tea, having your tea before you fill up others. We're talking that we're using fun buckets. We're using the like analogy of fun buckets. I as a person, we only have so many buckets, right? And then so as we take on new things, we're taking on a new bucket, but do we have enough water to pour or whatever to pour in that new bucket? So as we identify what's important to us and where we want to spend our time prioritizing and taking on new projects or reflecting to see if any of these buckets are producing what we want them to produce, whether it's a relationship or business, let's look at that because we only have so many buckets. And if it's not filling up my fun bucket, I don't want to do it anymore. If it's not fun, I'm not doing it anymore.
I love that
So
concept, actually.
because especially with what we're doing, like people like us, we're leaders in our organization, we're building a team, and we're also running a business. So if you're just business, and you're not having fun on wacky Wig Wednesdays, that can burn people out. It's like, okay, what am I really here for? Except, this is just a bunch of ABCs, and we're not having fun anymore. And I think it's important to always have fun with what you're doing, or else what's the point?
Yes,
So that's
exactly.
that's right. So let's get to know Jenni on a personal level. Okay,
All
so
right.
you like cosplay.
Cosplay, yeah.
Cosplay. Yeah, I've never been able to like pronounce that correctly, so now I know.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, so that's like costume play, right? Is that what that stands for?
Yes,
Okay.
in Japanese, they combined costume and play and just put the first and last part. So cosplay. For those who are not familiar with that, it's basically almost like Halloween. You know how you dress up in your favorite characters from video games or movies and things like that. It's very much the same thing. And it can be not just on Halloween, but say, for example, if there's like a festival or if there is a convention, whenever where it's safe to go to conventions anymore, and things like that, or anytime that you just want to feel as though you want to wear a superhero cape or costume to make you feel confident and good in your own skin. That's the fun of it.
That's awesome. That's actually I
Mhm.
really like hearing that too, because something that I'm considering is like as we as we do these routines and I shower and I get my mind primed for the day and who I'm going to be this day, it's almost like, it's like, okay, what mask am I wearing today? Not to be multi-faced, but just like
Mhm.
who am I and what mask or costume am I wearing today? And my daughter, she saw my turnout gear for firefighting, and she was like, "Oh, is this your firefighter costume?" And this is like not a costume, like this is like legit gear. But then at the same time, I was like, you know what, you're right. This is like my firefighter costume because I throw it on and then I go be a firefighter for a minute. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so it's really fun to do that. And if and you should totally do anything that fills up your cup and makes you feel alive and you're enjoying yourself. And if that's putting on a big furry costume and you want to play like a cat for the day, like that sounds like a lot of fun, especially when you're doing with other people who have homemade costumes who are really
Hmm.
doing the thing, you know.
Yeah. Either that, or if you don't have a fun costume, have like a outfit that makes you feel as though you're like a superhero. For those of you all who are listening, you may not see this, but I am actually wearing a dress, like a fashionable dress, which really looks pretty and professional. But if you were to take a look into the print, and if you're a fan of Kirby, you would know that there would be different kinds of weapons and tools that Kirby uses. The print is all over my dress. And so
Oh,
whenever
cool.
yeah, so whenever I go to a party or if I'm meeting with somebody, I'm wearing something that makes me feel good in my own skin, but also the print is fun in a very subtle but cool way. I love
Yeah,
fashion like that.
yeah, I like that too. You should come up for
Yeah.
Fashion Week. I'm in Connecticut now. Like, yeah, I live in East Haddam, Connecticut. We're like 2 hours away from New York, and Fashion
Wow.
Week is right there. So come up, hang out on the lake, go hit the city. It'll be a great weekend.
That would be amazing. I've never traveled up north before, so I will definitely consider it.
Yeah, I recommend. I mean, it's beautiful in the winter if there's snow and stuff like that, but it's cold. Like if you want to enjoy outside in the scenery, better weather is better.
Awesome.
That's really cool. So
Yeah.
where are you in your where are you in your life and business right now?
Right now, I am in the point of my life where I actually stepped into a place where I am no longer in the safe zone. I actually, beginning of January, told myself that if I'm going to be able to evolve and grow in my own business as well as as well as myself, I have to get myself out there. I have to go out there and it's not just about talking the talk anymore. You got to walk the walk. And even reflecting to what I used to do in my business before, I realized that if I were to give myself a rating of a 1, I did not do a good job, to a 5 where, oh, I'm doing excellent, I personally gave myself a 2 because I realized that I've been playing it safe for too long. And of course, in the back of my head, and you mentioned this earlier in our talk, was having that imposter syndrome that I'm not worthy enough of this kind of position. No, I I'm not this kind of level of this, like this person over here, where I'm thinking, okay, I need to stop with that. Stop that. I'm totally capable and deserving of all of this. The only person who's stopping me with my success is me.
Yeah,
So I started doing what I was set out to do. And the next thing I know, my not only was my business growing, but my team as well. And I'm actually on track with another promotion within my business. And I thought, oh my gosh, how the heck did this happen? It's all because we said, you know what? Just do it. Like just like that brand, just do it.
yeah,
Yeah. So I'm in this momentum now where yes, we're coming about summertime and it's temptation, especially for me, for wanting to slow down. And I thought, no, what do I want to slow down for? I'm doing really good. Like, why stop? And so I am pretty much on that hype train to continue to do exactly what I set out to do back in January. And we're already in the middle of May. To me, that's mind blowing the way that things have been going. And I'm thinking ahead where I'm like, you know what? It's only been 5 months in. It's only been 5 months. What's another 5, 6 a year from now? So I'm already feeling as though I am just drinking the Kool-Aid and I'm like, let's just keep on chugging.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm very
That's awesome.
excited.
That you should be, and that's really important too because whether or not you think you're this person that you want to be now, doing those
Hmm.
daily actions, over a period of time, next thing you know, you are that person. And as much as so, social media is a wonderful, dangerous tool that we have, and because it's great to, you can fall into this scroll hole, and then we
Hmm.
also create content. Like as business owners and online brands, you want to be creating content for various reasons, and you have to be careful not to be judging yourself against your peers' success or anybody else's success. And what I'm starting to, how I'm starting to look at my social media, and I have, I have a problem with consistency with my social media and my online content. And I know there's resources out there, but it just for some reason there's always some reason as to why they just can't be consistent. And what I've liked is whenever I'm feeling a little bit of imposter syndrome, I go to my social, I scroll and say, what have I been doing for the last year? Okay. Have I been changing masks over the last year? What do the people see when they see my social? And that can kind of help me build rapport with myself again. Be like, you know what, you have been doing this for the last year, 6 months, and you're not an imposter, and this is how people see you, and this is what you need to keep doing. So as you do that, it can kind of be something that holds you accountable and something for you to reflect back on, like a memory book, and then help guide you. So
Absolutely.
that's awesome. Where do you want your business and your life to be a year from now?
I would love it to have it to where a year from now I am not just more flexible, more with my time with my family. Like, I mean, especially since with the pandemic, I've been more in contact with my family now, helping them out, but just to have a lot more freedom and flexibility to be able to be more present for them more than anything is what I strive for. And a year from now, I would love to double that. Also, at the same time, with where I see myself with my business, I not only do I see myself with not just with my team and I working all together, but I am building leaders. I'm already seeing that there are some women who have that potential, just to be able to help them tap into that in the next year, to where if something happens with me, and what if I'm not able to run the meetings or anything like that, then these leaders, they can step up and say, hey, go do what you got to do, take care of your family, whatever it is. We've got this team, we've got this handled. And that's what I'm doing right now, to set myself and my team to that, so that I can build those seeds to grow those leaders and watching them thrive. um, More than anything, it's not just about me anymore. I'm looking at how I can grow other people, because if this business has helped me, I want to help it so that it helps grow for them as well.
That's perfect. That's what I love about companies like ours and the business structure like ours, because it's we have vested interest in your success, and and we have that camaraderie and that team support. It's incredible. Now you kind of talked a little bit about this, but are there any additional tools or resources that you need to get to where you want to be next year? Like,
Absolutely. And a couple of resources I'm going to be sharing with you all. You can always take a look into those at any time, and from anywhere. So, two of the biggest things that have helped us as a company, as well as me, with building community, are two resources. The first one, and actually both of these go into our company foundations that are nonprofit. I highly recommend to take a look into. The first one is called the Patty Brisbane Foundation, and this is actually the Patty Brisbane Foundation for Sexual Health and Wellness for women. And if you take a look into that website, you will find that there are a lot of different resources for certain topics that women are going through today, health wise, and a couple of other different topics that both partners can take a look into for building a healthy conversation. So if you take a look into the resources tab on that, there is a plethora of different topics to go into. And if you ever have any questions about those particular topics, they also have contacts of who exactly to contact for those. And then the second site that I would recommend going into, and I didn't get a chance to talk about this too, is that Pure Romance is also a more inclusive company, thanks to our president CEO, who has a daughter who is transgender. And so we decided to have a second foundation um, aiming for transgender youth, as well as having resources and support for families. This one is called Living with Change Foundation. This is about 3 years old right now. And again, those are great resources for not just being able to build that important conversation for families who are um, wanting to get into this topic, but also being able to celebrate love, not just in one way, but in lots of different ways too,
All the
because
ways.
because the love, as we know, is for everyone. And so if we can help to celebrate in that kind of a way too, and for those who are looking into understanding a little bit more about what it is, especially since we have Pride Month coming up, I highly suggest and invite everyone to take a look into that website too. And you're more than welcome to donate to both of those causes if you so wish.
Yeah, make sure I definitely get those links so I can drop the resources in the description tab. Absolutely. So,
Absolutely.
okay, so we covered the first three. I got two more questions for you.
Sure.
So, how are you going to take massive action to get your life and your business where you want it to be next year?
One of the things that I am starting to implement a little bit more is to really not just talk in the talk, as I said, but walk in the walk. One tool that has helped me, especially over the last few weeks, and I finally opened it within the last couple of weeks, it is actually helping, is having an effective planner. So if you have an effective planner, like the one that I'm using right now is called the Passion Planner, and you can find the planner on their website. Basically to have a plan right there in front of you where you're taking the time, like even if it's 15 minutes to go over, okay, what's going on in my business, what's going on in my life, what is going on with everything right now, and creating one of those maps and prioritizing each of those tasks to where it's going to really make that positive impact, where I'm talking with the people in my network. I'm talking with my customers. I am getting in contact with the resources that are going to help me with filling up my personal cup with the education and the personal development that I need. When I have that in mind and I put that into my planner, it becomes my secret weapon, if you will, to allow me to be able to do those things that I want to do. That's one of the things that has actually helped me with getting my certification to become a sexual health and wellness promoter and educator through University of Indiana. Because I looked and I used to not be a school person, but at the same time, I thought, you know what, if this is really important to me, I have to make that time. And so
Right.
when I did that and put in the work, within 2 weeks, I was able to complete my modules, and here I am. And same thing with what I wanted to do with my personal team. I said, okay, if I'm looking into developing with these girls, here's a plan of action that we're going to be having for these girls over the next 2 weeks. And when I check in, they are going to be doing some things for not just themselves, but their business, as well as helping the rest of our team. So anyway, my secret weapon is to have an effective planner, but also being able to map out what's important to you so that you can, if you, even as a busy person, if you say, I don't have the time, no, you can make the time. You just have to sit down with yourself and make that time to make it so.
Yep, absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you don't even if you don't have the money or the time or know where to find the planner, you can get a pen and a paper or your phone and just start writing down the things that you need to get done, and then prioritize you should have three priorities in life. I can't tell you what they are for you, but there should be
Mhm.
three priorities, and mine is business, family, and like self-care. So, that's like hobby. And so what I do is I break down the top three priorities in each of those areas, and I do whatever I need to do to accomplish those. And that's what I do with everything. Okay, top three, top three, top three, top three, and then you don't get lost in checking your email for an hour because you're trying to do something else. For example. So
Yes.
because people in our industry, sometimes they don't have money. Sometimes they're really desperate for an opportunity and they're really looking for change and growth and unlock their true potential, and they're like, oh wait, but I don't have the what I need to to invest in my best version. It's like you have people like us putting the content out here for you, and you can do it. So my last question here before I let you go is, who are you looking for? Who are you looking to help? Who can help you and your team and your business? I'm listening to your video right now. Speak to me, Jenni. Who are you looking for? Are you looking for someone like me?
um, that's a really great question. So especially for our company, we are working with women specifically. And of course, we love the support of our male partners and our male supporters as well. And the people that I look for whether it be for our company or even into my team, is I'm looking for someone in our team who has that spark within them. Like it's almost as though they don't know what exactly they are doing with their life, or maybe in some way or another they feel absolutely lost and are looking for being able to find that inspiration to love themselves a little bit more. With, like, for example, a mom, it could be a teacher, it could be a nurse, it could be someone who works a 9 to 5, someone who is looking for an opportunity to be able to do more with their life. They just need something to help ignite that spark. I'm looking for someone who is going to be setting their heart and ignite it on fire, because that's the name of my team, Team Hearts on Fire. And so if you or someone you know is looking to being able to do something more for not just adding a little bit more spice of life in their life, whether it be for not just a second income, but being able to make a huge difference in someone else's relationship, in their lives, in being able to learn more about their bodies, someone who's going to be able to set that heart on fire. If you feel that that's you, or if that's somebody that you know who would love to be able to fit that bill, we need to set your heart ablaze. So that's the type of woman that I am looking for, someone who is about to make a huge difference out there in the world.
Perfect, perfect. Good job. And that's exactly what we're here all about, or that's what we're all about here on the LaFrance paradigm. And even in more than just here, my main thing is learning and sharing strategies for an impact and helping you and everybody around you influence them into becoming the best version of yourself so we can grow into the people in the business and the entrepreneurs that we want to be, parents, you know, community members and everything like that. So Jenni, where can we find more of you? Where can people go to connect with you and follow you?
Absolutely. So you can always follow me through my social media. I am no stranger to anybody who would like to learn a little bit more about what we do, or even to know me as a person. On Instagram, I have a couple of places where you can find me. So you can find me on my Pure Romance page, which is pure.romance.jenni, Jenni. And for those who want to learn a little bit more toward who I am as a person, as well as getting to know me on a level where I can help you with finding that best version of yourself, or learning how you can find a little bit more love and self-care, I am actually starting my own YouTube channel. It's actually going to be launching this week. So I'm super excited. And so you can find me as Jenni with Love, which is Jenni with Love .tv, and we'll be sure to go ahead and share with you those handles on there. You can also find me on Facebook. I do have a Facebook page for my Pure Romance business, which is Pure Romance by Jenni Ramones. And feel free to follow me on Facebook. I again share anything and everything with my life with all of you. And feel free to go ahead and connect with me. Or if you have any other questions, we'll put the contact so that you can contact me through email, and I can help with answering those questions too.
Perfect. We'll be sure to drop all the info down in the description.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Awesome. Jenni, any farewell remarks before we end it here?
The last thing I just want to share with you all is just to live your life by your own design and not by the default. And don't forget to make sure to love yourself a little bit more. Be unapologetic, and don't worry about all what anything else or everybody else says about you, because no one knows you more than you do. So love yourself a little bit more and show that fantastic person that you are to the rest of the world, who, for all you know, needs you.
I love that. Nobody knows you more than you. It sounds like the next Dr. Seuss book. I'll be
Yes.
the first. I'll be the first client. Awesome. Well, everybody, thank you so much. Thank you, Jenni, for guesting here, listening in onto the LaFrance paradigm. This is gonna be the end of it. So I'm going to close out in saying the rising tide lifts all ships and courage is contagious. So help us, help you, help your friends. Take care, everybody.
Awesome.
Bye-bye. All right, cool. So I'm going to stop recording.
Cool.
If you like this video, let the world know by hitting the like button. And if you want to see more videos like this, every time I release them, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you get notified so you never miss one. You can always stay up to speed. And if you got any value, if you found any golden nuggets from today's video, drop them in the comment below so the next viewer
can pick up exactly what you learned, and we can all grow together. Because you know what they say, the rising tide lifts all ships, and courage is contagious. So help me, help you, help your friends. Take care, and thank you.